Welcome to Selling Seven Figures Top Performers Tell All, hosted by Kevin Mullaney. Each month, we're diving deep to uncover the secrets of selling big, closing smart, and hitting your highest goals. One guest, one mission. Let's make more money. Ready? Let's go. Let's go.
Welcome back for another episode of Selling Seven Figures. I am your podcast host in the hoodie. It is Kevin Mullaney, and I am as excited as a young tiger as we bring in a new guest to the Selling Seven Figures podcast, because I just can't wait to be with Josh King today, baby. How are you, brother?
I'm good, Kevin. Thanks for asking.
You bet, man. Anyone who's asking, where's the bow tie? Where's the bow tie? Just got back from an excellent golf trip in Tree Farm, South Carolina. And it is freezing here in Virginia. And I thought that Josh, being in the promo world, would appreciate a nice little trademark knockoff of the champion logo with my home state of Virginia. Josh, what do you think of my blatant plagiarism and copyright infringement?
I am kind of partial to the bow tie, Kevin, but I think the Virginia hoodie knockoff is a close second. So
there's my guy. All right, Josh and I have known each other for a while, but we're going to get to know Josh a little bit more. So we're going to start with the standard question that we ask everybody. Josh, how did you get into the industry? When did you get into the branded merchandise industry?
So I hate saying this number, but I've been doing this for 30 years. Okay. I was a young tiger myself when I started in the industry. My girlfriend, wife now, but girlfriend at the time, worked for a promo company. She introduced me. I've been a sales rep or a salesperson at heart my entire life. I mean, I was 6 years old, walking door to door trying to sell stuff. I immediately saw the opportunity in the promo world because the clients didn't choose me. I got to choose the clients, and I got to choose the industry that that I was had an affinity or a passion for. So I immediately hit the ground running. Started and have always been a commission-only rep. So for 4 years, stocked shelves at a grocery store at night. Did that full time because it paid the mortgage and gave me health insurance. And then I built my book of business during the day in the promo world. So yeah, it's been a long ride. I was 19 when I started in this industry and have been doing this for quite some time. I've seen a lot of change.
That is an amazing story. I cannot applaud the hustle enough. It's fantastic to hear the grit from the 6-year-old to the 19-year-old stocking shelves to pay the bills so you can do and follow your passion of living the dream. So did you start your own company, and was it always you name it specialties?
No. So it's funny you asked that. I really never wanted to be the boss. I worked with another distributor to start. Way I started, it was a small mom and pop, literally, company. We worked out of their apartment. So my first desk was a TV stand in the landing of an apartment in a door jamb. So I had probably a space of about 2 foot by 3 foot. We shared a phone. That was back in the Yellow Pages days, and I'd crack open the Yellow Pages and bust out just dial in for dollars. And our spiel then at that time was, I just want to send you a catalog. Let me send you a catalog. And that was the entry. Now, we progress into some more fancy things like swag boxes and, virtual presentations and things of that nature, but back in the day, it was just, let me mail you a catalog. First 20 some odd years, I worked for a distributor. I was a sales rep, and I kind of liked hey, 4:30 on a Friday. My work is done. See ya. Deuces. But the company here, you name it, the previous owner, she was ready to retire, and I had a good thing. I had a good environment. I loved the people that I work with and worked with at the time, and I wanted to protect that because I knew that with new ownership would come change, and I was not too big on change. So her and I had some conversations. Another sales rep here and my wife, we purchased a business about 8 years ago. Moved transitioned from a solely producer role into a leadership role about that long ago. So since then, I've developed and realized that I do have a passion for leading. So I'm enjoying the strategic planning and the thinking and stuff. So yeah, no, it was never my goal. Was never to be in charge, but I've kind of been a reluctant leader, let's say.
Well, it seems like it's a natural fit for you. It looks like you're making it fun, which I've always loved about the branded merchandise industry, which I think another reason why you and I get along. But tell me a little bit about it with when someone does ask, and obviously you name it specialties, right?
Right. Yeah.
When someone follows up with, okay, what do you do, right? I mean, because it's such a broad thing that you all touch and do. What's your quick little one-liner there when someone says, "Oh, what exactly is that? What does that mean?"
Well, it's funny because our name is You Name It Specialties, but our logo is YNIS. So people are like, Venus. They're like, that kind of there's some confusion, which could sometimes be a good thing because people, then you definitely move into a question of like, what do you do? And so it's funny because you have to actually explain the branded merchandise business, and some people know the word swag, some people know branded merchandise. I used to call it promotional products, and some people, knew that. But now when I say promotional products, it's funny how the lexicon has changed because when I say promotional products, I get blank stares quite a bit. So basically, talk about branded merchandise. And what's interesting is in most of those conversations, I'll point to their shirt they're wearing or a pin that's in their pocket or their pad folio or something, that's around us because promo is so ubiquitous in our world. And it's funny because it's a huge industry, but it's so under the radar, so it's hard to respond in one sentence with what we do because there is so much that we do, and that's the cool thing about this industry too. There's so much that we can do, so we're not limited.
Yeah, that's spot on. I'm going to go to the hard question first, and then we're going to go back to some of the leadership stuff and some of the fun stuff. But you started out early, Yellow Pages, cold calling, just trying to get to the, hey, can I ship you a catalog, aka can I get your address? Because now I've got you. What would you say the hardest part in sales is? Because it doesn't change, right? It's always difficult. It's always stressful, in my opinion. There's always something to be done to keep moving forward. What would you say the hardest part of your sales job, not the leadership job, but the hardest part of sales is?
So, I think that's, your question is posed in such a way that they would have a singular answer, but I think there's more than a singular answer to that because, every day we have, different challenges. I think one of the first things first objections is to assuming or moving into a sales role is the fear of rejection, and that fear of like, I'm going to hear no all the time. And I harken back when I was in my early teens. I sold newspaper subscriptions door to door, and I loved it, man. Why I loved it was because it was complete instant gratification. It was like, I had a 5-minute conversation and I knew that like that night I was gonna get cash in hand, right? But the feeling that I had at that point was go up to a door, knock on the door, person would come out, and my thought was like, hey, hurry up, and if you're not gonna buy from me, like hurry up and tell me no, because your neighbor does. Like your neighbor wants to buy from me. So like, if you're just gonna sit here and say no, like hurry up and tell me no, because there's plenty of people that want what I got. So like, you have to have that confidence to overcome rejection and understanding that rejection, an objection in sales really isn't rejection of you. It's maybe not the right time, maybe not the right, right place in that prospect's journey. So rejection is one. I think focus, having to have focus, right? Because there's so many, a sales job is not like come in and do ABC, because we have an alphabet. There's some days you're working on Z, some days you're doing B, some days you're doing F, some days you're doing G. And so it's focus, knowing what today what today, this hour, this morning, this moment, what's the most productive thing that I need to be working on. So focus is important. And then two, I think, with that, you look at it when you're busy, when you're closing deal after deal after deal, that's the time that you need to be building your pipeline.
Yep.
Right. And our tendency is to want to sit back and be like, oh man, I just rocked it today. I mean, I closed so many deals. I rocked it today. So I'm going to take tomorrow. I'm going to take tomorrow off. I'm going to hit the golf course at 2 and be done. But the problem is that, a week from now, a month from now, 3 months from now, you're going to feel that period of time where you didn't continue to rock it. So, building your pipeline while you're busy is tough. And then I think, then it's motivation, and you have to be motivated. You have to come in. So for me, promo was great because, like I mentioned in the beginning, I was so excited about being able to pick the client, industry, the person that I had an affinity with. So I come into each day with a passion. I want to talk to this person. I want to talk to that person. I want to know more about their business. I want to help them grow because I support them. I feel good about their mission. I feel good about what they do in the world. So, it's like I mentioned, there's more than one hard thing, but I think the answer to all of those is finding your passion and being passionate about what you do, man. Because no amount of Red Bull will make you passionate if you hate what you do. So find what you want to do and then rock it.
Yeah, it's really hard. You touched on a couple of things, so I'll just try and go back to that, the timing, right? Like, if someone were to call me and say, hey, I've got something, give me 30 minutes today.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 5 sales next month. I probably would have said no because I don't have the time today. If you catch me on Friday when I'm clear through and I'm back off my vacation catch up, right? No brainer. Hey, I've got 2 hours I've actually set aside. I'm actually going to bring in my manager on Friday. Fair? So timing is accurate. So you got to always, it just might not be the right time when you called. The alphabet analogy is fantastic, and I can't wait to steal that one. I haven't heard anything like that, and that's exactly why we're doing this podcast, so people can grab a little nip of this and a little nip of that. The consistency, right? I mean, again, building the pipeline, you nailed it. I would always say, especially to my younger sales reps, because this is what was told to me earlier, if I got a deal in 5 o'clock on a Friday, first thing I wanted to do is go out, who wants to celebrate with me? And all the good sales reps above me will be like, hey, now's the time to pick up the phone. You never know who's still in the office, right? So I completely agree. You got to go while you're hot, because selling while you're cold, sometimes your pitch might be a little bit more cold than a real cold call, if that makes sense. You nailed it about the motivation and the passion. People can feel it. And, I think you nailed it that in that industry and a lot of sales, you get to choose who you want to work with. And it's vice versa on the other side. So if you show that you're energetic and if you're passionate about it, because as you probably know, I'm assuming, let's just call it maybe 50% of your buyers actually despise this part of their role of ordering merch or making sure coordinating an event, and the other 50% love it. I used to always start my meetings off as like, hey, who likes this? Who doesn't like this? Right? Because if there's a group of 6 people that I'm talking to and 2 are already checked out making their weekend plans, like, I'm not going to mess around with that, but I do have to just kind of keep calibrating to see if we're finding something that aligns with them. Meanwhile, I'll just cater all my jokes and my terrible one-liners to the other 4. So great stuff there. That was awesome. We're going to go into more of the professional side of things. You have now taken over that leadership role that we talked about. In that sales instant gratification that you got when you knew you were getting money at the end of the day, you switched over to a leadership role where it's more strategy driven. What has been the most difficult part of that change for you, whether it's day to day or big picture?
Well, I mean, and I think you hit it right on the head, nail on the head there. Sales is great because to me, it's like scoreboard, right? Look at the end of the day, do a sales report. Oh man, I led the company in sales. Like that's going home feeling good about yourself. In a leadership role, where I'm finding that value and finding that boost or that juice is from seeing other people leading the scoreboard, right? And it's a struggle with me. I'm not going to lie there. It's a struggle because it's having to change where I realize value and self-esteem even. So that's that's where I get the reward. I think that the challenge is there's things that I assume other people know, and and they don't, and it's no knock on them. I mean, I had a funny little story. I was working with a rep here, a new guy straight out of college. I'm like, hey, send out these handwritten letters to these 10 people, and man, it took like 3 or 4 times for him to come back to me before I realized, I was like, hey, dude, do you not know how to address an envelope? And he's like, dude, I've mailed like 2 letters in my life. So like he didn't know how to address an envelope, so it's like, okay, wait, frame of reference, right? Mention Yellow Pages is where I started. Someone in their young 20s, they don't even know what Yellow Pages is. They haven't seen one, right? They grew up with, from the moment they were aware they had the internet. I started in this industry before the internet, before email. So, it's really understanding a different frame of reference. And then two, what motivates me doesn't motivate someone else. And it's understanding, what's your why? I know what my why is, but what's your why? And then getting behind, even if you don't believe you don't see the same value in their why, getting behind them and helping them achieve success and realizing their why. So I think that those are the more challenging things in leadership.
Really, really solid. And I will say we've got a rank report that comes out basically daily at my current role. And then we always had the Facilis rank report, which I always loved because internally you know what you did, right? But what was always nice is, say, for example, sometimes things get a little quiet. There's a little negativity, or sometimes someone else is doing great. And you're like, how are they doing it, right? But it was always nice to see somebody else in a different region, different market, et cetera, just blow a number through the roof that you didn't think was possible to do in a month, and they would do it in a day. And that was great motivation, saying, hey, there's someone on the other end of that Yellow Pages phone book that needs my services, or they're buying it from somebody else. Why not me? So I always feel like that was always motivating to me as well. When someone was doing really, really well, I loved it. I always tried to shoot them a message, send the positive vibes, and then ideally kind of magnetize some of those good vibes and those positive energies, and ideally those sales numbers to come over my way. Well, it's interesting for me. It sounds like you're super busy now because leadership takes a lot of time to kind of spread your tentacles out. We used to really kind of solely focus on you. You do have involvement with the PPAS, which is a regional board. What is it when, whether it's a nonprofit or a regional board or anything else like this, when it comes across your desk and you're presented with this opportunity, what is it that makes you want to say yes? And what are those things that you want to pass because you know you can be spending more time growing your personal business?
It all boils down to passion. I mean, it really does. I was presented with an opportunity to join the PPAS board, and I thought that would be a great opportunity to introduce more people to the promo world. Mentioned earlier, it takes more than one sentence to explain what promo is. And I'd love for that not to be the case any longer. I'd love for more people to know about our industry, to see the value of the products we sell, the products we rep, and obviously build the prestige within this industry as well. I'm on a couple other boards too. Another one is a local construction trade organization, and I'm started there on the governmental affairs committee, and have taken some trips to our state capitol and then Washington D.C. to have conversations with our legislators to tell them about, hey, this is what the small business experience is, and I really feel that you can't complain about a situation, or you can't be negative about a situation if you're not willing to do something to fix it or influence at least. So it was really neat. I mean, being able to tour the Capitol, see how the sausage is made, per se, and have some conversations with legislators that affect not just construction, but industry and business in general. So to tell you, to boil it down, it all boils down to passion. I feel passionate about these things, and like I mentioned before, when you have passion, it's not work. So,
yeah, I agree. And then additionally, your passion seems to be bleeding out onto social media. It looks like you're having some friendly competitions, some sales contests, some Olympics with some other distributors, which is what I loved about the Facilis group, right? Because there was truly like a healthy competitive competition, but these were kind of ended up turning into brothers and sisters and people locking arms and, like you said, trying to fight the good fight for the industry as a whole. How much fun is that? Is that something that your team gets rallied up, or is like, oh gosh, Josh has another idea? I can see it when he walks in the door.
Well, don't want to say those ideas are all mine because they're not. I have a great team that stands next to me. So a lot of my ideas get vetoed, but some of them make it through. Some will make it through. But no, it was my team that came up with the Office Olympics. We had give a shout out to my buddy Joel Jekyll. Joel was going to be in San Antonio, and instead I said, hey, come on by the office. And instead of just coming by and saying, hey, there's our coffee, there's our break room, there's our catalog, we made it fun, had a little Office Olympics, and that was cool. And then good friend Amy at Eskimo Joe's up in Oklahoma. We met at a Facilis event. We talked pretty regularly. We should probably start sending money to each other because we're almost each other's therapists. It's like a business therapist. But I brought that up to her. I'm like, hey, what's a way that we can collaboratively work to increase our business metrics? So put together a little Super Bowl showdown. I'm very sad to say that You Name It has lost the first two quarters, but the third quarter of the football game started today. Yep. So Eskimo Joe's, you better watch out because we're coming.
That's awesome. Well, it is the fourth quarter, which is typically, I'd imagine, the busiest season of the year. So we're just going to have kind of one final question to leave the group out with, which is, I always try and best advice for salespeople or a senior quote. So it doesn't need to necessarily be about sales, but if you could give one piece of advice, and I've got a feeling I know the passion word is going to somehow come out in this. What would your advice be? What would you leave the audience with? Because I think you've given us a lot of really, really good nuggets, and it's been fantastic.
I think it's a great question. One quote, I think it's important to realize that some days you're the statue and some days you're the pigeon. So, I mean,
Oh, I'm glad I've never heard that one either. This is so good. I will allow you to elaborate.
Okay. Well, I mean, just because today, I think there's other, some days you're the bug, some days you're the windshield. Just because today was a down day doesn't mean tomorrow's going to be the same, right? And it goes back to that, my 12-year-old self knocking on somebody's door, like, hurry up and tell me no because your neighbor wants it, right? So if today you're the statue, tomorrow you're going to be the pigeon. So, today's rough, tomorrow's going to be better. And having hope and excitement and motivation and passion for tomorrow, I think is the most important thing. And picking something that you want to be involved in.
Yeah. So. Josh, I can't thank you enough. It was great to catch up. It was great to see you. And I know you've got another strong finish ahead of you. You got about 2 months left until you can probably slam laptop shop until whatever the meme is. But keep going, keep it growing. Love catching up with you and really appreciate you being on the Selling Seven Figures podcast.
Well, thanks. And I want to let you know that seeing your name on that leaderboard back in the day, that's why I sought you out. I wanted to make sure I got some of that rub some shoulders, got some of that juice from you. So I appreciate our friendship as well because it's been mutually beneficial. So,
the love is mutual, Josh. I truly appreciate you. Very kind of you to say that. And yeah, man, just stay on top, man. And again, if not today, you'll get it tomorrow. All right, Josh. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks, dude.